Have you ever sat in a quiet room and felt like the silence was just too loud? Maybe the phone hasn't rung in a while, or you've caught yourself staring out the window, watching the world go by, wondering when it stopped including you in its plans. That feeling, it's not just boredom. It's loneliness. And it's more common than people admit, especially after 60. Now, if that sounds familiar, you're not alone. Truly. Millions of older adults experience this quiet ache. Sometimes it creeps in slowly after retirement, after the kids move away, or after losing someone dear. Other times, it shows up out of nowhere. One moment you're fine, and the next you're wondering when you last laughed with someone, or even had a real conversation. But here's something I want to say right from the heart: loneliness doesn't have to be a permanent part of your story. There are simple shifts, real, doable things you can start doing that bring light, joy, and meaning back into your life. And no, I'm not talking about booking a cruise or joining a salsa class, unless that's your thing. I'm talking about small changes that can slowly, gently pull you out of that empty space and back into feeling alive again. So today, we're going to talk about 5 simple shifts that can help ease the weight of loneliness and bring joy back into your life. These aren't magic fixes, but they work. And more importantly, they're rooted in kindness, connection, and purpose, the things that keep us human. Let's start with the first shift. Start saying yes to small moments of connection, even when you don't feel like it. Now, I know how easy it is to say I'm fine when someone asks if you want to come along somewhere. It feels easier to stay home, sit in your chair, and avoid the effort. I've been there too. But here's the thing: connection doesn't always come in grand gestures. Sometimes it shows up in the smallest ways: a quick chat with the cashier, waving to a neighbor, sitting on a bench and just smiling at someone walking by. You'd be surprised at how those little moments can add up and soften the edges of loneliness. Think about it. Have you ever had a brief conversation with someone and walked away feeling just a little lighter? That's the power of presence. It doesn't have to be deep or long. It just has to be real. The more often you say yes to those little interactions, the more you'll begin to feel like you're part of the world again, not just watching from the sidelines. Even if it's just once a day, maybe you go for a short walk and say hello to one person. Or you call someone just to check in, even if it's awkward. That tiny yes could be the door to something bigger. Now, the second shift: revisit something that used to bring you joy, but do it differently this time. A lot of people assume that joy disappears with age. That somehow, after a certain number of candles on the cake, we're supposed to let go of hobbies, play, or wonder. That couldn't be further from the truth. Joy doesn't retire, and neither should you. Maybe you used to paint, but your hands aren't as steady now. That's okay. Try coloring or sketching instead. If you loved gardening but can't kneel anymore, grow herbs on a windowsill. If you were a reader but find it hard to focus, try audiobooks. The point is, your past passions don't have to stay in the past, they can evolve with you. When we reconnect with activities that used to make us smile, even in a new form, something shifts inside us. It's like relighting a flame that's been flickering. You don't need anyone else's permission to do what makes you feel alive. And sometimes, doing those things again, just for yourself, can bring a sense of joy that's been missing for far too long. I once spoke to a woman in her 70s who loved dancing in her younger days. She didn't go out much anymore and said her body didn't move the way it used to. But she started putting on her favorite music every morning and just swayed in the kitchen. It's not the tango, she told me, laughing, but it feels like a piece of me came back. And that's exactly it. You don't need the full picture, you just need one brushstroke of joy at a time. Let's move to the third shift. Create a tiny routine that gives you something to look forward to every single day. Loneliness often grows in the absence of structure. When there's nothing to wake up for, days blur together. You lose track of time. And even worse, you start losing track of yourself. But if you give yourself one small ritual, one moment to anchor your day, it creates purpose. It could be your morning coffee on the porch while watching the sun rise. Or writing one sentence in a gratitude journal every evening. Maybe it's feeding the birds at the same time each day, or taking a slow walk just after lunch. The trick isn't in how big the action is. It's in the consistency. That little rhythm starts to shape your day around something positive. It gives you a reason to get dressed, to step outside, to engage with the world, even if just for a few minutes. And slowly, your days feel less empty. You start to notice little joys again. The color of the sky. The scent of a flower. The voice of your own breath. This isn't about filling time, it's about finding meaning in the time you have. So, now that we've talked about saying yes to small connections, reconnecting with past joys in new ways, and creating routines that give your days purpose, let's keep going. There are still a couple more shifts I want to share with you, ones that might surprise you, but have the power to gently reshape how you experience life when you're feeling alone. So far, we've talked about reconnecting in small ways, with others, with yourself, and with your daily routine. These tiny steps might seem simple, but they have a quiet power. When you do them consistently, they start to rebuild the foundation of your emotional well-being. But we're not done yet. There's another shift that many people overlook, one that touches something deeper. Let's talk about changing the way you speak to yourself. You see, loneliness isn't just about being alone. Sometimes, the loneliest place isn't a quiet house, it's your own mind. That voice that tells you, you're not needed anymore, or no one wants to hear from you, or you're too old to start something new. It whispers doubts and builds walls between you and the world. But here's the truth, you are still here, and you are still worthy. Just because your life looks different now doesn't mean it's over. That voice in your head? It doesn't get to write the ending. One of the most healing things you can do is start speaking to yourself with the same kindness you'd offer to a friend. I mean, really think about it. If someone you love told you they felt forgotten or invisible, would you agree with them? No. You'd remind them of who they are, of their strength, their beauty, the moments they've overcome, and the laughter they've shared. You'd tell them it's okay to feel down sometimes, but they're still valuable and still loved. So why not offer that same compassion to yourself? This might feel strange at first, but next time you catch yourself thinking something harsh, pause. Take a breath. And ask yourself, would I say this to someone I love? If the answer is no, change the message. Try replacing, I'm too old to try that, with I've lived through so much, why not give it a go? Or instead of, no one wants to spend time with me, say, I have something meaningful to offer. I just haven't found the right outlet yet. These gentle shifts in self-talk might seem small, but they can completely change the way you move through the world. Because when you treat yourself with kindness, you begin to feel worthy of joy again. And joy follows where it feels welcome. Now, let's move into our next shift, one that may seem unexpected, but has brought peace and purpose to so many, finding someone or something to care for outside yourself. When we feel lonely, it's easy to turn inward and stay there. But sometimes, the best way to feel connected again is to extend care outward. This doesn't have to be big. It doesn't mean taking on a huge responsibility. It means offering part of your time, your attention, or your love, because that act, however small, gives your day a sense of purpose. Maybe it's taking care of a plant. Yes, something as simple as watering a flower every day, checking its growth, watching it respond to light. It gives you a reason to get up, to nurture, to stay engaged. For some, it might be adopting an older pet or volunteering at an animal shelter once a week. Animals have a beautiful way of offering silent companionship. They don't care about your age, your past, or your worries. They just love you back. If animals or plants aren't your thing, you could write letters to people in nursing homes who don't have family. You could call someone else who might be lonely and just say, "Hey, I was thinking about you." That simple act of giving care creates a ripple effect. When you feel needed, you feel alive. You feel part of something again. Because loneliness often shrinks our world, but caring for something, no matter how small, expands it again. I remember meeting a gentleman named George. He was 83 and lived alone after his wife passed away. He didn't have children, and most days were spent in silence. But one day, someone gave him a tomato plant in a little pot. At first, he thought, what am I supposed to do with this? But he started watering it, moving it around the house to chase the sun. He even named it Sally, after his late wife. He said, that plant gave me a reason to check in every morning. To smile. To talk, even if no one was listening. And you know what? That one tomato plant turned into a whole little balcony garden. It was the start of something. Not everything, but something. So, think about what or who you might care for, in your own way. Something small. Something simple. Something meaningful. You don't need a full calendar or a house full of people to feel joyful. What you need is connection, to yourself, to others, and to something that matters to you. These little shifts are more than coping strategies. They're lifelines. And every time you choose one, you're stepping back toward life. We're not done just yet. There's one more powerful shift that ties all of this together, and it's one I think many people forget as they grow older. One that might just be the key to lasting joy, even in the quietest moments. Let's keep going. There's one final shift I want to share with you today, and it's something that can feel a little intimidating at first, but once you lean into it, it has the power to transform your relationship with loneliness completely. And that shift is this: share your story. You might be thinking, what story? My life hasn't been anything special. But that's not true. You've lived through decades of experiences, moments of courage, love, heartbreak, loss, resilience, and laughter. That's not just a story. That's a lifetime of wisdom. And the world needs more of it. You see, loneliness often convinces us that our voice no longer matters. That people are too busy, too distracted, or too disconnected to listen. But sometimes, all it takes to feel alive again is to feel heard. To feel like your story still counts. Now, I'm not saying you have to write a memoir or speak in front of a crowd. Sharing your story can happen in the smallest, most personal ways. Call a grandchild and tell them something about your childhood that they've never heard before. Record a voice message with a memory and send it to a friend. Start writing down one memory a day in a notebook, just for you, or maybe for someone to read someday. Maybe it's joining a local senior group or an online forum where you can talk to others who are walking a similar path. Sometimes, even writing a letter to yourself about something you've survived, something you're proud of, can spark a powerful emotional release. You are not just getting older. You're carrying chapters of human experience, and there is beauty in every page. And when you share a piece of your story, something amazing happens. You invite others to do the same. People begin to open up. Suddenly, you're not two strangers. You're two people who understand what it's like to be human, to struggle, to find strength again. That kind of connection? That's joy. Quiet, lasting, deeply human joy. And if you feel like no one around you wants to listen, remember this: you can still give your story a voice. Write it down. Record it. Create a legacy box with old photos and notes. Talk to yourself out loud, recounting the moments that shaped you. The act of remembering, of honoring your own path, is healing in itself. So now, let's pause for a moment and take a breath. We've covered a lot today, but I hope, more than anything, that it's made you feel just a little less alone. We started with something small, saying yes to connection, even if it's just a smile or a short conversation. We talked about revisiting things that once brought you joy, not by trying to recreate the past, but by letting those moments evolve with you. We added in daily routines that give your days structure and meaning. We looked at the power of shifting how you speak to yourself, with gentleness, not criticism. And we explored how caring for someone or something else can reconnect you to a sense of purpose. Finally, we ended here, with the idea that your story matters, and sharing it might be one of the most joyful things you ever do. If any part of this resonated with you today, I want you to hold on to that feeling. Don't brush it off. Let it settle in. You're not invisible. You're not forgotten. You're still you, still capable of joy, of connection, of creating meaning, even if the world feels quieter than it once did. Joy doesn't always come in the form of loud laughter or busy calendars. Sometimes, it shows up as a peaceful moment on the porch, a smile from a stranger, a phone call that brightens the afternoon, or a memory that warms your heart. Joy is still available to you. Every single day. And if you've been feeling lonely lately, I want you to know, really know, that things can change. It doesn't require a dramatic transformation. Just one small shift. And then another. And then another. You deserve to feel connected. You deserve to feel seen. You deserve to feel joy. That's not something that belongs only to the young or the busy or the extroverted. It belongs to you, too. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What helps you feel less alone? Is there something you've tried that made a difference, no matter how small? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice could be the very thing someone else needs to hear today. And if this video spoke to your heart, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. That small gesture helps more people find content that can lift them up. And if you want more videos like this, focused on living well, staying strong, and finding meaning at every stage of life, hit that subscribe button and join this little community we're building here. Until next time, remember this: you are never too old to start again, to find joy again, or to feel loved again. This life of yours is still unfolding. And the pages ahead? They're full of possibility. Here's to living with heart, with hope, and with joy, no matter your age.